Greetings of this lovely evening to everyone. I am Pitamra Srivastava, today's moderator. It is an honor to welcome you all on behalf of ANON Global Foundation for the last leg of our 3 weeks internship program on building leaders of life skills. I'm certain that all our interns must have contributed their best and would have put active efforts to go that extra mile in these 3 weeks training program and have had a worthwhile learning experience while working on the research themes. I would now like to introduce the jury members for this session. Ms. Jaswinder Ghandok. Ma'am is a versatile and visionary educationist with more than 20 years of experience in teaching and heading CBSE schools as principal across India. She is currently serving as the principal of Gurukul World School, Mohali. I extend a warm welcome to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Next, we have Ms. Nikita Tomar Mann. Mann has over 2 decades of rich experience of inspiring countless students while working in schools affiliated to boards, including the CBSE, ICSE, IGCSE, and IB. She is currently serving as the principal of Indraprastha Global School, Noida. I welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Before we proceed further, I'd like to thank both our jury members for sparing their invaluable time for guiding our young leaders. I'll now introduce our interns. We have Team Coffee to Quote with us who will elucidate and present their research work on the theme Valuing Relationships in this Changing World. The mentor is Anashwarya Ravi from Delhi and co-mentor is Niyamat Kaur from Uttar Pradesh. Our caffeine addicts include Shraddha Srivastava from Delhi, Shambhavi Mittal from Delhi, and Ishita Gupta again from Delhi. Now, if our coffee courtiers could take the show forward, Team Coffee to Quote, please take the stage. It's all yours.
Good evening, members and Aarti ma'am. We have tried to include some new things in our presentation, and we have tried to change our usual thing that we present. I hope you like it. Shambhavi can start presenting.
A hearty good day to all jury members and Aarti ma'am present in the meeting. Today we, Team Coffee to Quote, will be delivering our presentation on our assigned theme, Valuing Relationships in this Challenging World. And we would first like to begin with the introduction of our team and a glimpse into the making of our team name. We hope you find our presentation insightful and impressive. We are a team of 3 members, Shambhavi Mittal, Shraddha Srivastava, that is me, and Ishita Gupta, headed by our mentor, Ms. Anashwara Ravi, and co-mentor, Ms. Niyamat Kaur. Our team name has a rather interesting concept attached to it, which I am sure you shall find very intriguing. The preparation of a refreshing cup of coffee, or any other beverage for that matter, is a rather fascinating process. It is the beauty of all ingredients that are put together in just the right amounts of solvents like milk or water that bring out the thrill of a single cup of coffee. It is not a process to be rushed, or you might end up with a rather unsatisfactory drink. And that is exactly how we must nurture our relationships with just the right amounts of love, space, care, and time. And no stage in any relationship must ever be rushed. And the phrase to quote in our name might signify the child of a parent growing up and becoming an adult, as a court is a place of legal activities, and the child growing up and becoming an adult signifies their legalization in the society. It can also highlight the legalization of a romantic relationship in which a couple seeks to marry and legally be called each other's spouse. The phrase can have several meanings, but all of them point in the same direction at the stage of finally blossoming in the society. With this being said, let us now begin our presentation.
Relationships are an important part of a person's personal and professional life settings. But do we really give much thought to the gratitude we express or feel towards having such relationships in our lives? As human beings, we form connections with other people, which is ultimately very vital to our mental and emotional well-being. Positive relationships are an important foundation of a person's holistic growth and development. And such relations can be shared between two individuals when they love, support, encourage, and help each other practically as well as emotionally. One doesn't necessarily have to be involved in a romantic relationship to enjoy the complete bliss of a state of emotional happiness. But our bonds with our parents, family members, friends, and teachers do contribute as a positive relationships. A fulfilling bond within our family or with our partners is known to have several psychological and physiological benefits. Many people strive to feel like they are doing something good for someone else and improving the world in some way. Being in a loving relationship, no matter what kind, can give a person a sense of well being and purpose. It's possible that having a sense of purpose can actually add years to your life. A review of 148 studies found that people with strong social relationships are 50% less likely to die prematurely. Similarly, Dan Butternut's Blue Zone research calculates that committing to a life partner at a young age can add at least 3 years to your life expectancy. One study even suggests that a lack of social relationship has the same effect on one's health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. A survey of 5,000 people by the National Bureau of Economic Research in the USA found that doubling your group of friends has the same effect on your well-being as 50% increase in your income.
Another dynamic to approach the meaning and importance of relationships would be to view them from a communal point of view. Forming a sense of belonging with other people around the shared mission or identity is a major contributor to our sense of personal meaning in life. Keeping in mind our personal experiences and public opinions, there are two major challenges that are faced when maintaining personal relationships, that are neglect, not dealing with conflict constructively, thus letting problems fester until they are out of control. Some of the most effective and time efficient ways to ensure happy relationships are appreciation and gratitude, giving them time and space, and smooth communication. Another extremely important relationship we must mention in our presentation is the one between teachers and students. In every culture, teachers are respected on a very high pedestal, and it is because they, after our parents, are some of the most influential adults in our life. We gain not only knowledge but learn discipline, creativity, the importance of punctuality, and hard work from our teacher figures. And a healthy teaching environment has been known to bring out the best in individuals.
Life always seems incomplete without someone special in it. It's not just the love and affection that makes a relationship better, it is the sense of belonging, the faith in our true identities, and the fact that you will always have a constant circle of people in this ever changing world. That is a major reassurance. Let us now watch a video of my fellow teammates and I using some of our talents to convey the meaning and value of relationships in our lives.
From the first words we babbled to the laughters at school we shared, our world, like a textile of yarns, is very close-knit as we make alliances in life's every sphere. From being our parents' flesh and bone to the puzzle pieces of our friends we've so long known. From our siblings with whom we seem to argue every day, but we know we love them and none of us would have life be any other way. From our granddads being the tellers of the best tales to our online acquaintances across geographical boundaries over Gmail. From our grandmoms making dishes in pickles supreme to our chat boxes being flooded with DMs and memes. We spread our branches wide and far, so let the love be spread and known. No relationship can ever be common or bizarre. The tree of bonds has never shrunk, as the tales teach, and as we see, the joy of relationships has always been known to grow.
Families are like branches on a tree. We grow in different directions,
Yet our roots remain as one. It's a fact that our relationship is what we make it. It is made strong not by the number of heads counted at the dinner table, but by spending time together. Golden memories, commitment, love, care. Friends, nowadays, respecting for elders.
From the, from the first
Together we are an ocean. Friends, nowadays, respecting for elders has taken a backseat in the name of modernization. But we should not forget that individually we are one drop. Together we are an ocean. So we should let's work together towards transforming our society and building strong familial ties. So I have created a glass painting on the same topic valuing relationships in this challenging world. As relationship is the only ship that never sinks and life is flawed, so love is it. Thank you.
यारी तेरी यारी चल पाना इस बारी सारी मेरी फिक्रें तेरे आगे आगे हारे यारी तेरी यारी चल पाना इस बारी सारे मेरी फिक्रें तेरे आगे आगे हारी तू लगी मुझको तेरे बीमारे इस बेरहम की दुनिया में सबकी हक न होते यारा अपनी तो यारी अतरंगी है अपनी तो यारी अतरंगी है अतरंगी
Today we, Team Coffee to Coach, will be narrating the story of Sambandha, an 18-year-old fresher in college. In our narrative, she faces the loss of her grandfather due to the deadly COVID-19 virus. From being surrounded by her family to being connected with her friends virtually, we talk about the various relationships she's blessed to have around her in these challenging times and how these help her to cope with the hollowing loss. And we will also try to relate to the significance of these bonds in our own lives.
Sambandha was excited to begin her college, but her anticipation was dampened when the COVID-19 pandemic hit and her college began through online classes. Her distress heightened when suddenly her grandfather passed away due to COVID, and though she knew her mother was hurting due to this gut-wrenching loss, she hesitated in talking to her. Given their history, she didn't hate her parents, but there were way too many ideological gaps between herself and her elders that she had given up on trying to make them see her point of view anymore. Anytime they tried to talk or discuss, often ended in an argument or dissatisfaction. And though she knew what they did had her best interests, but she refused to be met, understood, or be perceived as a child always. Her parents couldn't really dedicate much time to Lil Sambandha, given both of their professions. Both her parents were renowned doctors in a reputed hospital, and that hence were such overworked individuals that Sambandha or her little sister didn't bother with them, with their problems or anything from their lives for that matters. But now, with the passing away of her grandfather, Sambandha felt a deeply rooted sense of loss, and she couldn't imagine what her mother must be feeling at the passing away of her father. She decided to put her thoughts aside and knocked on her parents' bedroom. Her father was in conference right now, so she found her mother sitting alone on her bed. She wasn't crying, but she looked devastated. The girl pulled the curtains of the room and let some sunlight in as she made her way to the bed to sit near her mother. Do you want to talk about it? She began the conversation, hoping her mother would let go of her gloomy thoughts and let it all out. I just never expected this to happen, you know. He was fine. I'd called him the previous week and he looked perfectly fine. Her mother began talking. Thankfully, but I think he's in a better place now. He'll be fine up there. Her mother sniffled, but continued putting up a strong front too. Like mother, like daughter. They say, you tell me, how have you and Samiksha been holding up? Her mom continued, referring to both her daughters. Been better, struggling a bit. Didn't want you to bother with it. You have so much going on, Sambandha murmured. No, I don't. Tell me what's up, the mother contradicted. Yes, you do. I wish to talk to you sometimes, but you are busy. After your work, I wanna talk to you. You are tired. I wanna talk to you, Mom. I know you are an important doctor, but you are my mother as well. Please understand, Sambandha blurted out in a haste. Mother must be furious. She kept thinking just as often. She was about to blurt out an apology. Her mother's gaze softened, and she said, I didn't know you were feeling this way, my child. You and everyone else have been so supportive of my career always. I'm very grateful, but do not wish you to feel left out. You're my daughter, and I love you. I want to feel you to feel that love too. I'm sorry, Sam. I promise I shall always have an open ear whenever you want to talk. Tears shone in Sambandha's eyes. She couldn't believe it had been always been so easy to bridge the gap between her and her mother. She was joyful, but she was also aware that her mother still missed her own father terribly. But Sam was ready to help her mother cope with the loss.
No parent-child relationship in existence is perfect. A parent is a child's first friend, first teacher, and the very first role model. A healthy parent-child bond results in a level-minded, rational, empathetic, and compassionate adult, which proves to be an asset to the society. According to the great psychologist Sigmund Freud, a child will grow up to perceive the world as a bitter place if they experience any sort of detachment or lack of care from the parents in the early stages of their development. Hence, it is important to keep in mind some of the very important aspects of a healthy relationship while trying to bring up children to be functional adults. Number one, maintain efficient communication. Sometimes a child struggling emotionally just needs to be heard without interruptions and contradictions. Number two, trust your child's decisions and instincts. All decisions, in fact, most decisions made by youngsters are not made out of recklessness, but are carefully deliberated over. A habit of spoon feeding young adults will not result in them being fully functional humans in the society. Number three, respect the children's perspective for them to respect their own selves. A good sense of self esteem comes from being heard and accepted by the parents. Number four, be supportive of your child's chosen endeavors. These young individuals realize the importance of their future and want the same thing for themselves as you do for them, to be happy and to be successful. The sign of great parenting is in the child's behavior. The sign of truly great parenting is the parent's behavior. A remarkable quote by Andy Smithson.
Let me continue the narrative of Sambandha and let's delve into the relationship of Sambandha and her younger sister Samiksha. These two children were 5 years apart, but their arguments indicated as if their thoughts, opinions, needs were worlds apart. Their daily arguments were the usual bickering, but sometimes these arguments escalated until they both got into a yelling match and had to be put into different rooms by their parents. If one was north, the other was definitely south. They were both brilliant and struggled to find a separate identity under the same roof. Even though their parents never indulged in the habit of comparison at all, Sambandha and Samiksha still felt outshined by each other and were both extremely gifted at whatever they performed. Despite all their differences, the loss of their grandfather had come as a terrible blow to both sisters. They struggled to understand how to react to such a sudden loss and couldn't think of a way to help their mother's situation. At the utter shock of it all, the arguments between the sisters had halted in the sake of their mother. Their shared sense of loss finally made Samiksha approach Sambandha one morning before their online lessons began. I know we fight a lot, Didi, but I just wanted to say sorry. I don't know how to help mom or make the situation better. I hope if we sorted things out and got on civilized speaking terms, it would be comforting to have my sister by my side when everything seems to fall apart. The little girl had spoken from the corner of Sam's bed with downcast eyes. The elder sister immediately stood up and hugged her sister. I think us being good children can help Mummy. She already has enough to worry about, and our peacefulness might bring her some calm too. What do you think? Little Samiksha couldn't respond to how quickly the sisters had made up and burst into little sobs on Sambandha's shoulder. I miss Nanu, she cried out, and all her big sister could think was, me too, kiddo, me too.
Any group of siblings would have a variety of behaviors which make the bond between brothers and sisters so unique. Being the same parents' flesh and bone, they often compete for their parents' love, attention, time, or resources. There are frequent debates concerning several ideological differences because, despite being the same parents' children, they are their own people and strive for a personal identity. They are each other's first friend, first competitors, and the only window to their childhood memories when time moves on. Some of the most important key points to remember while attempting to nurture a healthy and rewarding bond with brothers and sisters are: number one, allow each other to keep secrets but not lies. Dishonesty can damage any relationship. Be allowed to hold back information if you or they aren't comfortable discussing it, but do not lie or bend facts in your conversation with each other, as being told something real later in time is better than getting to know you have been lied to. Number two, accept your differences. Be aware of the qualities and behaviors that make you and your sibling distinct from one another and from the rest of the world. Accept and polish these differences. Number three, do not hold on to grudges. Number four, just love them and let them know that you love them. Treasure them and appreciate them and make sure you let them know that.
Let us now continue forward into the narrative of Sambandha and explore her relationship with her friends. Sambandha had a very close bond with three of her friends out of the many she had at school. But because of the pandemic, their interactions had reduced from spending 40 hours a week together at school and tuitions to texting each other every 10 or 15 days. Also, they had shifted to different cities to attend different colleges and now had different goals in their minds that often led to miscommunication. Each one of them thought that the others were busy and hence the distance between them increased. As Sambandha now sat in her living room feeling overwhelmed as thoughts constantly pierced her mind, she felt an urge to tell her friends about what had happened. Would her friends be caring enough? She pushed those doubts aside and messaged her friends because she needed their support. Immediately after sending the text, her phone rang, and with tears in her eyes, she answered the phone. Hearing their voices, she felt a wave of relief wash over her after what felt like years of dryness in her eyes. She cried. They heard her cry and cried with her. She needed to feel the outburst of emotions to overcome these emotions. She felt comfortable to express herself and let go of all the cautiousness she had created around herself. This was because her friends understood her and gave her the space and support to contemplate what was going on with her. In her heart, Sam knew they still had to work out their differences, but for now, their friend group was doing just fine.
To quote Dr. Susan Degas White, friendships are relationships that involve two very critical dimensions: interdependence and voluntary participation. Friendship is a complex process and experience. It requires reciprocity, admiration, respect, trust, emotional and instrumental support. Friends are the ones who will be there for you during the times of happiness and when the times are rough. There are four core types of friends. Acquaintances. These are the people who are not complete strangers but you do not really know them. Standard friends are those who you try to mix with or are your crowd. When the going gets rough, you're most likely to reach out to a close friend for help and support. There is a strong level of trust and a lot of unconditional regard and affinity. Best friends are the rarest type of friends and the kind of friend we all need in our lives. They can give you comfort and even give you support when they are out of touch. Importance of friendship in our lives is beyond any description. It turns out healthy relationships contribute to a good physical health. Friendships increase your pain tolerance and help keep your mind sharp. They can also help you make lifestyle changes that can have a direct impact on your well being. For example, your friends can help you maintain goals to become healthier. They can even give you a heads up when you are indulging in unhealthy behaviors. If you find yourself going through a hard time, having a friend to help you through it can make the transition easier. One study of high school students suggests that depressed students were twice as likely to recover if they had happy friends. Everyone has self doubts and insecurities, but friends support you play a big role in building your self esteem. If you have people you can count on, one may not even perceive a tough time as stressful. Friends can also provide a positive influence. If you make friends with people who have values, you are most likely to develop those values yourself. Friends are those who make you feel good about yourself, who will laugh at the most inappropriate times. The basic foundation of every relationship is friendship, whether it is the relationship with your spouse, children, co-worker, or neighbor. Without friends, life would be meaningless and dull.
With the conclusion of the narrative of Sambandha, let us now talk about relationships while keeping in mind the pandemic. In the light of challenges brought along by the COVID-19 pandemic, such as social distancing and increased feeling of loneliness, our relationships have become even more important. It was found that virtual communication does not appear to be as meaningful as close physical contact does. Individuals are now at an increased risk of both isolation and of development of mental health problems. The recent guidelines by the World Health Organization, WHO, about mental health during the COVID-19 pandemic advise people to restrict their online exposure while also emphasizing on the greater need for connectedness and social support. Whether lockdown isolation was significantly detrimental to the relationships is up to many factors. Whether the individual is resilient or not, whether or not do they have robust social networks, whether they make an effort to maintain their friendships despite their barriers or not. After we recover from the shock of these altered behaviors, things are likely to return to a previous normal. With this being said, I would now like to begin with our survey analysis. Our team conducted a survey in order to evaluate the meaning and value of various relationships in a common man's life, and we successfully received 261 responses to our survey. Now we shall look into the various reasons we speculate are responsible for the popularity of the most voted answer for each question.
Let me start with question number 1. In these tough times, which relationship do you value the most? There were two options. A, relationship with your parents. B, relationship with your friends. But the most popular answer is relationship with your parents, which is preferred by 80% of the responses. It's because during these tough times and because of the continuous lockdown we were in, one of our most direct contact was with our parents. Though we were all connected to our friends digitally, the face-to-face interaction that we carried out mostly with our parents and immediate family members, surely made us value their presence in our lives more. Question number 2. Do you think in order to maintain healthy relationships, you need to value yourself? The respondents were given three options: A, yes; B, no; C, maybe. Out of total responses, 81.2% of people responded yes. It's possibly because of the belief that if we have a positive self-image, it shall help us maintain a good and loving relationship with others. I would like to quote an example here to understand the concept of self-value better. In airplanes, when we are briefed on the safety protocol, in case of loss of cabin air pressure, we are told that we must wear our breathing masks securely and then only help others. Anyone struggling with their own self-worth shall not be at their peak loving capacity when it comes to relationships. Question number 3. Do you like spending time with your grandparents? There were three options presented in the survey: A, yes; B, no; C, maybe. Out of our total responses, 74.8% of the responders said yes. They were comfortable with their grandparents. Elder, wiser, and more experienced members of our families are known to be the guiding light of the house. They not only guide us, but they spend quality time with us as they make us understand moral values, ethics, and the ways in which this world functions. Question number 4. Why do children and parents have misunderstandings? The survey consisted of two options, which, according to our past research, were found to be the most common reasons for parent-child arguments. The options were: A, parents' job is hectic and leaves no time for children; B, rigidity of opinions. Out of all our responses, 56.4% of answers were with rigidity of opinions. We speculate the reason for the popularity of this answer to be based on the generation gap between children and parents, due to which parents are of a different societal mindset and children are of a different perspective. As our parents hadn't been brought up while being surrounded by such a technology and social media, often the gravity of child's problem gets lost in the generation gap accompanied by communication differences. But a good negotiation can settle 49% arguments between parents and children in the most healthy ways, as studied by the Bureau of Social Research at Columbia University. Question number 5. Do you feel comfortable sharing everything with your parents? There were three options: A, yes; B, no; C, depends upon the matter. Out of our responses, 49.2% of people leaned into answering with C, depends on the matter, which actually highlights a significant amount of people. We speculate the reason for the same to be because of the ever-changing society we are living in, where having age gaps and generation gaps isn't an uncommon occurrence. It's natural that sometimes children think their parents cannot solve or even understand their problems. But what we as a child needs to understand is that they surely try to understand us and our problems, regardless of how tech advanced we may become.
Moving on with the survey analysis, the sixth question in our survey was, do you think your family members respect your boundaries during online classes and meetings? And the responders were presented with three options. A, yes, we respect each other's space. B, sometimes. C, no, I constantly have to remind them. This question aimed at knowing whether the responders' family respected their private space or not while they performed their professional duties. And 63.4% of people responded in an affirmative, which is an indication that parents nowadays do realize the importance of healthy spacing between them and their children while their children perform their academic or professional responsibilities. The next question in our survey was, how often do you fight with your parents? And there were three options presented to the responders, which were A, almost all the time; B, rarely; C, never. It is rightly said that a relationship with no arguments is the one with the most cracks and crevices. This question in our survey was aimed to know how often does our audience admit to fighting or arguing with their parents, and 51.6% responses admitted to doing so. As much as any of us would hate an argument or misunderstanding with our parents, It is these little conflicts day in and day out that actually display their concern for us. The next question in our survey was, are you satisfied with the number of friends you have? And there were three options presented in our survey. There were yes, no, and maybe. And we are happy to inform that a significant amount of very happy and content with the amount of friends they have. It is actually us who must be comfortable and satisfied with the amount of friends we have. And this 68.1% of people actually concretize that belief. The ninth question in our survey was, if your friend asks you to keep a secret, does it involve keeping it hidden from everyone else involving your best friend? And there were three options presented in the survey. A, yes, it is not my place to talk about this with anybody else. B, no, we share everything, referring to the best friend. C, maybe, depends on the type of the secret. This question was model based and asked the survey takers' opinions or whether or not does a secret of anybody involve keeping it hidden from their best friends or not. And we are extremely pleased to inform you that 55.9% of people agree to keeping a secret hidden from their best friend, as it is in their place to talk about it with anybody else. What we must realize is that trust and loyalty is important in any healthy relationship and aren't just required between best friends or partners. And it is the 12.6% of people who disagreed and 31.5% of people who exhibited contemplation regarding the same who must understand this. Proceeding on the 10th question, it was, how do you sustain your friendships during the pandemic? And there were four options presented to the survey takers. A, messaging. B, playing online games. C, all of the above. D, none of these above. The 10th question in our survey enlisted some of the most popular ways that are now being used to sustain friendships amid the lockdown and were meant to rank them according to our responders' opinions. It comes as a zero surprise that 42% of people vote for messaging as their go-to option to communicate with peers. With the rise of messaging platforms like WhatsApp, Telegram, and the all-famous Instagram Direct Messenger, a significant amount of our young population resorts to their services for nurturing their existing friendships and for building new ones.
The 11th question was, have you made any new friends virtually? And there were two options. A, yes. B, no. From the survey, it is evident that there is not much gap in between these two responses. People are not sure whether to classify their online interactions as friendships or not. Still, it can be seen that the relationship has not been adversely affected since more than 50% people have responded optimistically. People could still experience some form of communication and interaction with new people. It gives us a positive ray of hope that online platforms can still help sustain these friendships in this need of ours. The 12th question was, do you think emotional support matters in a positive environment in a learning space? And there were three options, yes, no, and sometimes. Though emotional support is much needed in every student in a learning space, it is especially required in this pandemic. It can be seen from the responses that most students desire this. Teachers' emotional support behavior affects students' learning process. It improves their performance in every aspect of life. They can manage their emotions better, feel and show empathy to others, make responsible decisions, and at the above of all, establish positive relationships. Positive emotional support behavior engages and motivates students to be more present in their relationships. The 13th question was, what type of teacher do you think creates a better studying environment? And there were four options, a strict teacher, an empathetic teacher, a fun loving teacher, and all of the above. More than 40% of the people think that the combination of all the three should be a part of the teacher's personality. A strict teacher adheres to deadlines and is tough on students. An empathetic teacher creates a safe space for them to express themselves. A fun-loving teacher inspires the students to be more creative and enthusiastic, thus forming a situation in which the student can feel comfortable to express themselves. The relationship established has care, discipline, love, and empathy. Student teacher interaction, based merely on academic things, creates innovations within a student and stifles true relationship building. The 14th question was, can online teaching be replaced by virtual teaching? Tell with reference to your current experience. And there were three options: yes, no, they both have to exist in harmony now. The truth now is that the future is not black and white anymore. There is a lot of gray, and the survey supports this to some extent, as 38.8% of the people think that there should be harmony between the two. Relationships that are established in a virtual platform can never be as fulfilling as the ones created through an online class. But an online class gives a different perspective towards these relationships. Both students and teachers have more time and are going through the same situation. So, if a relationship is established, a stronger connection is present. Thus, if both exist in harmony, the relationships can experience best of both worlds. The 15th question was, have you been there for your friends when they needed you, and have they been there for you when you needed them? There were four options. A, yes, we all have been there for each other. B, I have been there for them, but they haven't. C, they have been there for me, but I haven't. And D, we do not need each other. Almost three-fourths of the responses are the first option. To continue a healthy relationship, both parties need to be actively involved. There should be a balance maintained in this give and take relationship. This survey proves that most people experience this balance in their lives and that most people have friends that they can rely on in any situation. It is evident that people believe that other people are there for them as much as they are. It is rightly said by Douglas Pegus, a friend is the nicest thing you can have and one of the best things you can be.
With that being said, we now approach the conclusion of our survey analysis. And I would like to end that on a note. We need to value the relationships that we have built as we grow along with our family and with our friends. If we nurture plants with the utmost responsibility, they yield the most beautiful flowers. And just like that, with care, affection, respect, and trust, any relationship also blossoms. A healthy relationship forms the foundation of strength in life. Having people around to support you and encourage you through every rational decision is a major confidence boost given in any given circumstance and helps one be more reassured of their choices and decisions.
When we face problems, we start neglecting the one pillar in our lives, our own people. If we continue to communicate and show affection, we'll find the courage to move on. Communication and expression of feelings is the key towards building strong relationships. You must express yourself to your loved ones, or else mounted thoughts will lead to distance growing each day. The conversation is perhaps just the start of some real deep, wonderful restoration work between relationships. For example, strong communication between parents and children can go a long way. Understanding and endearment between siblings can bring a positive impact on the whole family. Trust and honesty in a friendship can help form unique opinions. Students' respectful relationship with their teachers provide support and knowledge. Apart from the relationships explained, there are innumerable relationships present in everyone's life, all playing a dominant role.
During the pandemic, the value of every relationship has increased. As each one of us is at home, the connection with our family has strengthened. People are continuously trying to maintain a contact with their loved ones. The main purpose of all these efforts is that we need people in our lives to express and to share things with and to enjoy every moment of our life. As we flow through life, we face millions of ups and downs. Having people who are there for you throughout the whole process makes everything simpler and more appreciable. So let's legalize preparing our cup of coffee with the utmost and greatest care and affection and drinking it with patience. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone, for being there throughout the presentation. I hope you found it relatable because we definitely learned a lot while working on the topic.
Thank you so much, team. That was indeed very well researched. And now, if we could move forward to hearing what the jury thought, if Nikita ma'am could share her views.
I actually am stumped because I thought it was a beautiful presentation. One of the most mature presentations that I have seen, with so much of foresight and so much of, so for me, it was a superlative, phenomenal presentation is what I would like to say. I mean, every little thing was taken care of. One, you were the smallest team. You just three of you. You see, everything revolved around you. I must compliment the mentor and the co-mentor because you really groomed them so beautifully. Despite having too short, you were able to, I mean, you couldn't feel the lack of members in the team because you covered it all. I mean, there were so many things I've kind of written it down because I just wanted to tell you that this was the last presentation for the day. We started at 4 in the evening, you know, so by the fag end of it, you are kind of, you just want it to get over and done with. And but I thought you refreshed me because it was by far the best that I have seen. Very I love the script. I think you really worked on the script. There were lines to each slide, there were lines to each interpretation, there were lines when you did your movie at the beginning. And all the three of you are so very talented. I think was it Shambhavi who did the dance in the movie? Yeah, she did the dance. Shraddha is very eloquent and articulate, and Ishita is very emotive. You know, every line that you said, there was so much of expression, and so you took us through all the emotions, even when you were speaking all of it. The survey was fantastic. I mean, I thought this is never going to end because there was like 15 questions, 16. I have never seen a more comprehensive survey. And every question was very relevant, and every question was linked to relationships. And every question, once you had the survey results with you, you gave us an interpretation from it of what it led us to believe, and and most of it actually kind of corroborated what you had already spoken of relationships in the beginning. The movie, the whole concept of bringing a character called Sambandha into the play, and then her relationship with her parents, with siblings, with between grandparents, her relationship with friends. So you brought it was so holistically done that I don't think any relationship really was left, because when you talk about parents, of course, I mean, a mature relationship is not what we are looking at. We are looking at relationships, probably what you see in your surroundings. And as you relate to it from the perspective of being children of the age group that you are in. And even the survey, the presentations, the graphic representation of it, every question has a different graphic representation. I love that. Bar graph, pie chart, I mean, it was like you look forward to what is the next thing going to look like. So you created that thing of, that curiosity of knowing where we are headed with it. I love the lines that Shraddha, you started the movie with beautifully. Were they written by you, Shraddha? The script initially?
Yes,
Beautiful. I think very beautifully, because it was kind of a long dialogue before you started off with the entire thing. So rules to healthy relationships, very well researched, very well. Every time you had interpretation of things, you quoted research results from good universities, good sources. That was fantastic. So I think I don't think I have kind of left anything from my end, and I'm sure ma'am also will have a certain thing that she would like to add, because she must have also noted down. But all in all, very impressive, very well researched, very well presented, great script, great pictorial representation, fantastic movie, great work, mentors, lovely teamwork is all I can say. So you can see how effusive I am. Thank you so much.
That's fun.
Excellent experience. Yes.
Thank you so much for your motivating words, ma'am. If we could have just Jaswinder ma'am to please.
Yes,
give
I
us-
was waiting to get my turn. If I have to sum it up in one word, it's brilliant. Brilliant is the word, and I think the major credit goes to the mentor and the co-mentor. They have led their team beautifully. So I think you deserve as much credit as them for presenting, for you for mentoring them. Again, as ma'am is saying, I've noted so many points because there were so many pluses and so many wow factors that I could not possibly remember them all. So I will start with the beginning. The start was amazing. Your name, the name Coffee to Quote was intriguing and mysterious and complex. So I had my own interpretation of it, and you gave another interpretation of it. So that itself set the bar so high when you began. So that was brilliant. And then the presentation itself, the video, of course, Shraddha, your words, amazing for such a young child. How can you write such meaningful, deep words? Very impressive. And this team is a treasure trove of talent. The dance, the glass painting, wow, you had us riveted to the screen. As ma'am is saying, like we are on, like I don't know what's holding us on. I know it's a huge cup of tea for ma'am, but I don't know water is holding me on, because we are physically exhausted. But you guys, I'm glad you were the last ones, otherwise we wouldn't have been able to be fair to any other team if they were not this good. You were par excellence. The narrative was so beautiful and everything was woven so well. So there I can see the role of the mentors and the teamwork, because the if the bar was set high, it did not slacken. Nothing went down. It was like throughout you maintained that standard, that high that you started at. The survey analysis, as ma'am is saying, in fact on my phone I opened and started counting kitne questions are, because we are tired. But the way they were researched, the way they were, the objectives were explained, and I think you're the probably the only team which has analyzed the data. We have had data collection. Some teams have also given the objectives behind the questions, but the analysis of the survey has been done brilliantly. So kudos to you. I'm really impressed. It was like effective, refreshing, engaging. So wonderful. Just one question I want to ask, because there's a column where we have to mark you on the question answer. So I have to ask a question. Now, this question is in a quote by Dr. Bruce Perry. And the quote goes, "It is all about relationships. They are the agents of change." So I would like any one of you to comment on this. Relationships are the agents of change.
Ma'am, here I would like to first begin by talking about what exactly do we mean by agents of change. So here, agents of change can stand for the meaning of that maybe they act as catalysts when any of us are experiencing change. They can also be the carriers of change. So often we have seen that, let's talk about a hypothetical situation. There is a child who is studying in school, and that child is supposedly moved from the city they are born in to the city. Maybe the parent just got a transfer in. Here, the parent is in relationship with the child. This parent induced a change in the child's life, maybe for a very important reason. And that reason, the child may not understand that there and then, but will get to know as they grow up and as they understand these meanings later in life. Also, we've seen a lot of set of parents that send their children far from home in order for them to achieve good education and better employment opportunities. So again, here, these relationships were the catalysts of change, a change in environment, a change in personality, and hence they have felicitated this change to, for the bigger picture. They help one realize the bigger picture. Also, same case with our friends. We say, जैसी संगति होती है वैसे ही हम बन जाते हैं. So this sangati is again something which I would say a synonym for change. So, when you are in company of good people, you change for the better. When you're in company of ill-mannered people, you change for the worse. So here, these people were the catalysts of change, but it depends on their behavior, whether it was good change or bad change.
Anybody else would like to add? So yes, I also feel relationships, they bring about change. They are agents of change. As she said, the kind of relationships we have, the people we relate with, they all change us in some way, and they bring about changes in our personality, in our goals, in our aspirations, in so many ways. So yes, brilliant. Just one little thing, because I feel you people are again global citizens. So I would like that today you're presenting in a small group in India. Tomorrow you people are going to be associating with people from all over the world. So whenever we research a topic, it was beautifully, very well researched, and taking nothing away from your presentation. It's just one suggestion, keeping all the brilliance of your presentation intact, that look at things from broader perspectives. I would have gone again, I brought it up in the previous session also, relationship of humans with nature, relationship between countries. So we just focused on personal relationships. So I always try to look at things from a broader perspective. Let's not have a myopic vision. And this I'm saying because you people are the leaders of tomorrow, and you are a brilliant team. So I would want that we should not be going in one direction. And when a topic is given, we should look at not just personal relationships, our relationships with nature, relationships between countries. And then this quote becomes even more meaningful, how relationships between countries can bring about change in history. So the profound effect it will have. So this is just a suggestion. So whenever you get any topic, see it not from the obvious perspective, but let's see from what other perspective or angle can I view it to widen your horizons. But brilliant ending, I would say, a beautiful, the best presentation we've seen so far. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your encouraging words, ma'am.
I just want to, tell the, I was going to call them kids, and then you remember they hate being called kids. Okay. These young women here, that, there's this beautiful book, which is one of my favorites, Sapiens. I don't know how many of you have read it.
Yes.
You have to read it. Because when you are talking about relationships, one of the factors which led to, human beings, Homo sapiens become so successful. And the only evolved race to have reached this level of, so-called innovations and inventions is the fact that they had very close-knit relationships with each other, and they believe in reaching out to people and forging relationships. And they said that was the success of why this particular species of Homo neanderthalis did not do as well, but Homo sapiens really made it, because they said that they in fact talk about how gossips actually made them, thrive. But what they mean by gossips is passing information, networking, getting to know each other. So that is the USP of our thing. So it's a book which will reiterate the topic that you've done. So you must read it. I would recommend that book for everybody. And it's one of the most, I think, popular books of recent times, which was a game changer. Anybody who's read it would be able to tell you. So do that. I have only one last question to ask. Now you gave us such a lot of information on relationship and what works and what doesn't work. If I were to ask you 3 adjectives that you could give me for a successful relationship mantra, what are those adjectives? Think. and just tell me which one of you will take it. No one?
Ma'am, if we really have to talk about the mantra to a successful relationship.
The adjective which you use as mantra, I mean, which should work universally for all relationships is what I'm saying.
It would be hard to come up with adjectives right now, but I can definitely think of 3 words.
Okay.
If you would allow me.
Yeah, please. Any 3 words, anything that describes.
All right.
You know,
number one would be compromise.
Okay. Brilliant.
Number 2 would be communication.
What be? Communication.
Communication.
And the third one would be, I would say, fulfillment.
I think Ishita wants to kind of step in.
I want to add 2 adjectives to it: love and loyalty.
Okay, love and loyalty and respect.
I would like to...
Unconditional love and respect. I mean, you have to respect the other person for whatever they are. I mean, they may be different from you. They have different opinions. They may not look like you. But if you really want a relationship to work, you have to have respect for the other person. Now, somebody else wanted to add something.
Shambhu.
Yes,
I was just adding that trust, care, and I was going to say respectful, but you said respectful. But communication,
I take it back. You can say it. You can use it. I take it back.
I was just saying that trust, respect, and care between individuals will really help reflect the positive aspect of every relationship.
So well done, girls. I mean, anyway, we were so overwhelmed with the whole thing. So, and I really like what Jaswinder ma'am told you. Always look at a topic more holistically. Always go beyond the scope of what it very evidently looks like. Go beyond it. You know, explore boundaries outside of whatever's seen. You know, so yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for your inspiring words. We have our founder here with us, Ms. Aarti Girdhar. Ma'am, if you would like to speak something.
Thank you to the jury. Anashwara is one person who has been connected with us. The moment we released the invite for the internship, she is the one who always is very enthusiastic to apply for inventor, co-mentor, intern, whatever, because she wants to be connected. I think so. She has inspired so many students till now. I suppose this is the 3rd time, Anashwara, that you are participating. So,
4th time, ma'am.
Fourth, sorry. So 4th time you are participating, and that is, I could see a change in the way you are grooming these young kids. And thank you for being a part of our organization, because somewhere when you are inspiring, you are spreading happiness, you are making the new world out there. And this is how we could see this new small world that you are developing. So thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And thank you to team Coffee to Quote, because you totally changed the atmosphere for the last presentation of the day, and it was a brilliant note to end the day on. And now to conclude this session, I would once again extend my heartfelt gratitude to our jury members, all the mentors and co-mentors for this delightful evening, and for parting with your invaluable time for making this session a fruitful one. And last, but in no way the least, I would of course like to appreciate and thank the entire ANON team, especially Renu ma'am, who worked relentlessly behind the scenes to make this latest installment of ANON internships the success that it is. I hope that we can soon host these positive sessions in person, but until then, we can always hope to stay safe, healthy, and keep on hosting such positive sessions on whatever medium we can. This is Tamra Srivastava, your moderator for the day, signing off. Thank you so much.